All right. Hi, I'm Jack Moran.
I am Gary Barbera.
I'm Sydney Swire.
I'm CJ Casino. And this is our company, Planet Data View. So together we have a very collaborative leadership team in this group. So we haven't really assigned positions yet, but we all know a lot about our company. But I want to start off by telling you guys a little story. So when I was a freshman here at the high school, I was in a Geometry A honors level math class. CJ was in my class, I had a couple other friends in the class, and it was the third week of school. I walk into the classroom and the desks look just like this. They're in test-taking order, and I immediately start to freak out. You know, I look at CJ, I say, CJ, is there a test today?
Of course there's a test today, you gotta write it down.
I didn't write it down in my planner, so I didn't study for it. I forgot to study for the test, so the consequence immediately started racing. You know, obviously the biggest consequence of me failing the test, and yeah, I failed it. I got a 33% on this math test. My first math test in my high school career, I got a 33% on. It dropped my 92 all the way down to a 67, and I fought all the way back, but I couldn't get it back up even to a B. So I can't help but ask myself, what if I would have written this down in my planner, or put it in my computer, or even wrote it on my arm, some way to remember to study for this test? Maybe would I have a better GPA? Would I get into a better college? And maybe even somewhere down the road, would I have a better career path? So the problems we're aiming to solve as our company is student disorganization and laziness that leads to their grades suffering from it. Also, schools spending tons of money on planners that kids don't even use and also wasting a ton of paper. And lastly, the frustration teachers are caused. The frustration teachers are caused. The frustration teachers are caused when students don't do the assignments that they remind them constantly to do.
So now let's take a look at our solution, which is a planner application that all the students will be able to download on their phones. They can click right there to open it up after downloading it, enter in a username and a password that we would give them. After they do that, they will be brought to the priorities page, which will look like this. It's basically a home page. It shows all the students' upcoming assignments, tests, quizzes, and projects, their main priorities. They can click this button right here. That's the classes page. These classes will be customized to their actual school day from the beginning to the end. So you can see right here we've selected math. Then they will get a preview of what their math schedule looks like, upcoming assignments, test quizzes, and projects for that specific class. If they're looking for a more broad view, they can click on the calendar button right here, so they can look even months in advance at events that are coming up. Now, you're probably wondering, how does all this information actually get on the phones? Yes. And what we're trying to do is create the Planet Daily website, where teachers will be able to log in. They can click on a class that they're hoping to update the schedule for, select the category, whether it's an assignment, assessment, or a project, enter a brief description, select the due date, and students will be immediately pushed a notification because everything is synced up together.
So we're planning on selling our app for $3 per student. Prices would vary depending on how many students the school has. We were originally targeting schools just like ours on programs like the One to World program, where every student gets technology. But recently we received an email from Station Middle School asking us to meet with the executive functioning team, which is a group who decides what technology is bought and teaches students how to be more organized. So basically, when we met with them, the executive functioning team asked us to create this app for them, and this app would replace their current planner and be an early adopter and a future customer for us.
So our main competitors, number one is the My Homework Planner app, which some of their shortcomings are that if a student would like to sync, say, their planner with one of their teacher's classes, the teacher needs a completely separate application, and there's disorganization between the two. Also, say maybe one of my teachers has the other application and another one doesn't, then I don't have all the information I need, and maybe I can't get the assignments done that I need to get done. Also, what My Homework Planner does is they sell their application to the students and to the teachers directly, whereas we would sell it to a school, so then every student and every teacher would have everything in one place and all their classes completely synced up. Now, when we met with the executive functioning team from Station, they provided us with this planner. This is the planner that Station currently uses, and I just want to ask you, how many of you would use something like this? I mean, it's bulky, it's big, it's really confusing. If you lose it, all your assignments are gone. So why we're really better than them is we are stepping in the 21st century where everything is on technology, and this is just outdated. So, our UVP. Why are we better than other planner apps? No, not because my girlfriend just broke up with me, but because of our push notification feature. So right as a teacher clicks send on an assignment, a student would get a notification that just looks just like this. It would say the teacher, a brief description of what was assigned, and the due date. And if the student was to slide the notification, it would open the application right up, give a more in-depth description of what it is.
Okay, so how are we better than paper planners? Well, like Jack said, we are in the 21st century, so a lot of schools are pushing towards going green. And like Station Campus, they have these planners. There's about 115 pages, about 1,000 students. There's already 115,000 pieces of paper wasted every year, and there's only one school in the United States where all the paper wasted, and we can eliminate all that paper if we just download them daily. So we get to our TAM, there's 37,000 schools. That's high schools, middle schools, public and private. We have our SAM, which is 8,000 schools. That's all the schools that provide their students with technology, kind of like Bearden High School does with MacBooks. And then we have our market share, which is by year one, we want 4 schools, high school, both middle schools, and extra school. That's 0.05%. And by year 4, we want 1,000 schools, which is 12.5%.
So here's our financial model, and as you can see, our revenue and gross profit are exactly the same from year 1 to year 5. However, our SG&A expenses include hotel, booth, and transportation costs to different conventions that we would go to promote our product and use it as a marketing tactic. Also, our salaries are included from year 1 to year 5, increasing as it goes along. And how we get each one of these numbers in revenue and gross profit is we are planning to do a subscription-based model with recurring revenue. So just as a school would buy a certain number of planners at the beginning of every year, that's what they would do. However, we could either break it down into an annual fee where they pay, so if it's $3 per application and they have 2,000 students, that's $6,000. So the price would be around $6,000 either at the beginning of the year, and then for a 36-month contract or 3 years, we would try and get them on that. Or we could break it down into a monthly fee, where it would be around, for that same price, it'd be around $667 per month, which looks better for the school, so they're not paying a huge chunk of money at the same time. And then we assumed in year 2, we'd have 16 schools. In year 3, we'd have 80, but then that's when the contracts would run out for the original, and we assumed a 90% renewal rate. So it would put us at 72 schools, and then we had up to 360 schools in year 4, and then up to 1,000 in year 5. So here's a little short video describing what we will do for our MVP. MVP, or minimum viable product, is a term used to define when a company tests the most valuable part of their product, application, or service.
Being a company that's creating a software or an application, our MVP plans to replicate what our application would do without breaking it. Each member of our team will select one classroom at random from either the high school or the middle school. We will then talk to the teacher of that classroom. We will find out what students in that class that are currently having trouble turning in assignments and remembering different assessment dates. We will then talk to the teacher and find out what his or her upcoming homework assignments, tests, quizzes, projects are in the next 3 weeks. Then we will gather the contact information from each student of that class, and then every night, a member of our team will send a text message to each of their students, reminding them what their homework is. The best part about our MVP is that it has measurable results. After 3 weeks of sending the students text messages, which replicate the push notifications feature that our application is going to supply, we will be able to test whether the students' grades have gotten better, and we'll be able to get feedback from them on whether or not they like our service. After collecting these results, we will be able to repeat the process again, and every member of our team will be able to choose another class at random. The results from all of our tests will hopefully prove the need for a push notification feature and prove the need for our application in general. MVP, or minimum viable product, is a term used to define.
Okay, so by Friday, we'd like to have our website up and running. Over the weekend, we'd like to collect information from teachers about our students. And by February 8th, we'd like to start our MVP stage. From February 9th to March 1st, we'd be sending nightly texts to students of their homework. And from March 2nd to March 4th, we're going to be measuring improvement and gathering feedback. And we repeat the process over.
So at the end of the day, as you saw, our MVP is pretty simple. Since we're all just going to be taking one class each and sending them text messages every night,
That doesn't cost any money. However, the one thing that we do want to ask for is $30 to get our website up and running. With that $30, we can register a domain name and have it registered for an entire year. So at the end of the day, we really hope that you will invest this $30 in us because we really think that our application is the future of education technology. Thank you.
Having seen a lot of these where there's technology involved, this is the best presentation I've seen where you've almost replicated the use of the technology. I saw the hand usage you're doing. It's great because a lot of times it's very difficult as an audience to get a sense of how easy it is to use the technology. So good job on that.
Thank you.
So it's hard for me to believe when we talked that there's no one still in the space. There's everyone's in that tech space trying to automate, and Blackboard has been in this space forever, and there's some people like don't like it. Help me on the competition. I don't know that I felt enough there.
Okay, so I'll go back just to
It's hard to believe that no one else is doing this because it's barbaric to think that we're still getting these at Barrington as well. You didn't mention that to the rest of the team. We're still getting, we've not found a student yet in any of these classes that use it.
Right, and we actually, going off that, we did get an email from Heath McFall, who's our assistant principal, basically laying out the costs. So that kind of leads to where our cost comes from. They spend about $378 per planner, which when it comes down to shipping, handling, and everything, that's about a $14,000 purchase every year. It's closer to $6,000 for the middle schools, is what the executive function team told us. But so my homework planner, what questions do you have about them? I can tell you. Or you're just wondering what other, if there are any other.
Mr. Learning says there's a lot of other competition out
Okay.
there. There's Schoolology, there's Infinite
Right.
Campus. there's-
So the thing about Infinite Campus is that supplies grades only. That doesn't like send a push notification saying this is what your assignment is, this is when it's due. All that does is if a student wants to go in and look at their grades, their parents can see what they got on past due assignments.
Actually, they do have that feature. And it's
Okay.
on a mobile app, and I know a lot of parents who download it onto their phones, but kids who don't.
Go to Schoolology. I mean, Harrison just I got a note that said, sign up for Schoolology, parent. So I went in, I signed up, created a user thing, and it has his entire calendar, what's due when. It has a notification feature. So your proposition is entering the field of technical education, and it's it's a land grab. People are going crazy for this. When you think about it, in order for your product to work, you have to develop software, and you have to sell it to a school amongst a bunch of other products, and every kid in the school has to have a smartphone.
Or a computer or tablet.
Or a computer tablet. And there's two types of smartphones. There's Apple and Android. So you're into a multi-million-dollar development scheme.
Right.
By the way, your SG&A had nothing about software development in there. You'd have massive depreciation for software and constant development. Technology just is really, really expensive.
Okay.
By the way, I just want you to know for visibility of the proposition that you're proposing, which is we're going to be in a software business in education. It's a really huge barrier and a lot of money to get there, and a lot of people chasing it. Don't want to discourage you, but I just want you to know it. There is a different angle here that what I'm really intrigued with, and that's there are some kids that are just disorganized and they need help. I'm not sure if the push notification will do it. That might be one thing that does it. But what if you turn the business model a little bit upside down and said, gosh, what we're going to do is set up, in the business world, when you're struggling with something, you get assigned an executive coach. What if you got a coach assigned to you where it was not peer tutoring, it was a coach that kept you informed and maybe helped you from planning. So it was a near peer. It was maybe a peer-to-peer coaching program.
Okay.
That it takes the technology play out of it, but solves the problem through a different lens.
Right.
Now, I don't want to pivot your business model on you. I just want to give you feedback, and you're going to get feedback from 14 other people around.
Okay.
I'm going to echo what Michael said. I think the problem's right, the solution is, there's a lot, you know, you're entering the big leagues when you're gonna develop an app like that, and those costs were really missing. But I also felt that your MVP, what you're looking at now, is very disconnected from that problem. Because just at the end, you're, you know, saying that, would someone like text notifications? Sure, of course they're gonna like it. You know, is it really a validation that you've got a unique value proposition of a software solution on a phone that will solve a student's disorganization that's gonna be a profitable business? You haven't even touched that, you're just, so I think Michael's actually really onto an idea about if your MVP is around a texting solution, you know, looking at, you know, maybe text from a organizational coach, you know, or, you know, that kind of an organizational assistant kind of thing, is actually solving the problem without the big software development. Because you really, and you're competing with some very big software companies to do, like Evernote, for instance. You know, I mean, I just.
Or what if you went to the schools and said, hey, we want to offer an elective course for incoming freshmen into high school or incoming fifth graders into middle school, these 2 times when kids are going into these bigger schools and it's overwhelming and they have to, and maybe it was just a class in how to use the technology that's available, how to organize yourself, and it was a curriculum that you sold to schools, and it was from a student's perspective on how to maneuver through the way of being organized.
Okay.
That might be a way to help students just learn what's out there and use it in a different way. Because you guys didn't even know Schoology has this, because it's not up here.
Right.
But I don't want to dampen your parade in that your high school students that have stumbled upon a problem, and it's absolutely a problem. The question is, with this class, can you viably even attempt to compete against this massive place? And maybe not. Don't get discouraged by the applying technologies, I think what Michael's driving you to. We already have a lot of technology, texting, all that available to us. How they apply it could be a unique way, but I don't want you to get down to
There's
this.
another idea to solve this that you might look at. One of the biggest categories on YouTube is how-to type things. And organizing, how to organize your garage, how to organize it, is like one of the biggest categories in that. Maybe there's a subscription service on YouTube that is like a student could go, you teach them how to do these things, how to be an organized student, how to use the technology. You could come up with all different things. Maybe they pay $3 per person for the school year to have, and you are creating the content. That's value. It's students talking to students via video that's telling them how to do it, you know, and that's just I'm throwing a completely different idea out there for you.
Something to consider that goes back to the root of the problem. As Mr. Miles pointed out, these tools exist. If they're in this building, you guys didn't know about them. So what is going wrong, or what is missing in the way the adults have crafted these tools? That it's not working. It's
Student
not
adoption
resonating
isn't
with
there,
kids.
yet the tools are there.
And you guys have got the fresh eyes, the unique perspective of, it may be in the Ethernet, but you're not talking to me. So what's missing?
I think that one of the biggest problems is how many different sort of websites, like none of the ones that the school uses really do exactly what we're trying to do. But another problem is that there are just so many different things that they're all a little bit different. And teachers are inputting their assignments on so many different platforms, it creates even more
It
disorganization.
forces you guys to learn half a dozen platforms.
Right. So we're thinking that if we could simply say, hey, instead of spending your money on paper planners, which nobody really likes, you can spend your money on our product, mandate it for all the teachers, you know, why not? They're already spending time putting all this information to multiple places online. Put it in one place, everything's organized, and students will easily see it on their phone because, I mean, there are so many affluent areas like here where a student, almost like the vast majority of people have phones. You can't miss the notification. The second you go to your phone, it'll be right in front. There's no way to miss it.
I will tell you, our experience in launching this incubator class
1 minute.
has been a massive void in time management skills for students. So we tried to write some curriculum with it, and we just can't crack the code with it. It's a life skill that high school and middle schoolers need to learn, and if they learn it effectively, they'll stay with it forever.
Mhm.
So that is a very important message that schools will absolutely buy if you have a great solution to teach kids that life skill.
Okay.
And I would just really encourage you to be the curator of all the technology that's out there, but what you're really doing is solving the problem of student adoption and students learning how to use it. And it could be one of the most popular classes at Barrington, because you guys can create the curriculum in a really fun, engaging way where you can train teachers. And our little non-for-profit that we're doing here is in 40-some schools, and we make a bunch of money doing it. That's the model that you could probably adopt, is just replicating what Incubator did and doing it for time management.
Right.
In a real world way.
Right, and there is an opportunity that you could wrap into your MVP.
Last month.
8th graders are being oriented, introduced into the world of high school now. That would be an interesting little trial, test, whatever, to do a mini course.
Or
surviving
5th to
the
6th,
high
right?
school transition.
Yeah, these trends, and by the way, I don't think I would teach technology that's in the education system for time management.
Right, exactly.
I think the way you would differentiate yourself is, I'm gonna teach people time management of the most common time management tools that people use in their life. You know, it's usually right on your iPhone, and how to do reminders and notifications, and there's a bunch of processes on how to do quadrant. There's Stephen Covey has some great stuff on this. It could be the foundational stuff with it.
Take existing stuff
The
that
last
everybody has
final
access to. and
Sorry.
you don't have to, I've done it.
Take care.
Okay.
What are you asking for on your?
$30.
$30.
I approve that.
Well, I would say, fine, approve it, but
It's
we've
the-
given
it's
you
the
an
we
idea to
bit.
pivot here, and it's like the other group that we had. You might choose to say, guys, thanks for the feedback, but we got it. And if you have that, if that's your decision to continue to go forward with your original solution, we're fine with that. If we've given you some food for thought,
Yeah, they have said.
and you want to reapproach what your MVP should be, and there's a new budget for that, let Hogs know, and we'll come back and approve it through that.
Right, so my point off of that is just us pivoting our business model completely kind of takes away from the point. We didn't mention this, but we not only got an email from the principal of Station, we also got an email from the principal of the high school, Mr. McWilliams, asking us to create something very similar to this. And then when we met with the executive functioning team, as Gary said, they this was kind of like the idea that they had in mind as for something that we could.
So both of those opportunities could be pivoted as well.
Right.
Because you can come back to Mr. McWilliams and say, by the way, here's Schoology. Did you even know that it does all this? Nobody does.
Right.
I've become a super user in Schoology, and what I really want to do is teach everyone how to use what you have.
Right. Okay.
Give me $10,000 to fix that problem,
Okay.
and I'll put a great curriculum together for you.
Michael's 100% right.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that you guys understand that just because we're recommending a pivot does not mean you've not done a great job in what you've done in your thought process.
And you've identified obviously the
Oh my
right
God.
problem.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
these are the best ideas come from this. This is what's a classic called scratch your own itch problem. And you said it in the beginning. I got a 33% problem, and I'm trying to fix that problem because I had it. And they're the best businesses. Many times, the original idea is 180 degrees different, and it just morphs. And by the way, what we're talking about will morph again.
Right.
We got 20.
By the way, this incubator class was supposed to take place at Majewski's gas station. We pivoted off of that. And you know why we pivoted off it? Because it was going to cost $1 million to buy the building. Your technology is going to cost $2 million.
Right.
You can't afford it.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on.